Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are diving into something absolutely crucial, mastering the mechanics of stress and emotion. You know, most of us, we spend our entire lives just fighting stress, right? We treat it like this massive hurdle we have to jump over. But what if the actual secret to emotional control isn't fighting at all? What if it's befriending it? Today, we're going to map out the literal mechanics of human emotion, and we'll show you exactly how to rewire that whole relationship.
I mean, seriously, can you actually make friends with stress? It sounds a bit crazy because usually we treat those sudden emotional spikes like an enemy combatant or, at the very least, a totally unwelcome house guest. But if we flip the script, if we start treating stress like a new acquaintance whose behavior we just want to neutrally observe, we actually gain an incredible tactical advantage. So let's look at exactly how that works.
Okay, let's dive into this roadmap to friendship. We'll start with the fundamentals of stress, then we'll move right into identifying your specific emotional triggers. And finally, we'll wrap up by analyzing the short and long-term impacts.
So starting right off with Section 1, the fundamentals of stress. Let's get down to the absolute basics of what we're actually dealing with here.
Now, at its absolute core, stress is not some sort of glitch in your system. It's actually a built-in biological response system. It's a feature, not a bug. And to truly befriend it, we have to completely strip away that negative moral weight we always seem to give it. Stress isn't inherently evil. It's literally just a physiological process running quietly in the background. So, understanding these raw mechanics, that's step one to getting to know our new friend.
But here's where things get tricky. When that baseline stress response goes totally unchecked by your conscious thought, it mutates. It turns into uncontrolled emotion. And that right there, that's the major friction point. Honestly, it's simply a mechanical consequence of just letting your nervous system run on pure autopilot. When you can separate your core identity from this rogue mechanism, man, it is incredibly empowering.
All right, let's shift gears to Section 2, identifying your emotional triggers. This is where we start the investigation phase and map out your actual stressors.
You know, the funny thing is, stressors are almost always hiding right in plain sight. Figuring out what makes your own unique stress response actually tick, that requires some really active observation from you. Because we're not talking about charging a lions here. We're talking about really subtle shifts in your environment. Maybe it's a specific tone of voice someone uses in a meeting, or just a tiny disruption to your morning routine. Literally, they are right in front of you.
So how do we actually catch them? Well, by deliberately mapping out those triggers. You kind of have to play detective for a minute. You look at that sudden spike in emotion and you trace it backward. Was it a specific conversation you just had? Or, hey, maybe just a lack of sleep? Because by connecting your external environment directly to your internal biological reaction, you're essentially writing a custom user manual for your very own nervous system.
And that brings us to our final stop, Section 3, short and long-term impacts. Let's look at how these triggers behave over time.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the stark contrast between immediate reactions and compounding consequences, right? Like in the short term, you just feel that visceral spike, that sudden flash of frustration or anxiety. But if left completely unmanaged, these isolated little sparks, they compound over time. The long-term physiological impact actually alters your baseline health and your cognitive function. So befriending stress, it's not just some nice, fluffy mindfulness exercise. It is a structural necessity to prevent a short-term spark from turning into a raging, long-term fire.
So here is my question for you. How will you apply this understanding to your own stressors today? I mean, you know the biological mechanics now. You know exactly how to map out those hidden triggers, and you definitely understand the compounding costs of just ignoring them. So the real challenge now is application. It's time to stop fighting your own mind. Go out there and turn that adversarial stress into a deeply understood friend. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in our next explainer.